Good evening, Nigerians. We are welcome to another episode of Vox Edu, a program to speak to Nigerians about the problems of education. Tonight, I have with me, don't mind the light in the studio, it will come on, and then we'll be fine at the end of the day. Tonight, I have with me our regular co-host, Brother Wisdom Nicholas. Brother Wisdom Nicholas, how are you doing today?
I'm very well, thank you, sir.
Your background is powerful. If I grow up, I'd like to have this kind of background. And then,
Um,
you're welcome. And then I have
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Louis Akuveso. Mr. Louis
Thank you
Akuveso, you
so
are
very much,
welcome.
sir.
This
Thank
is
you
a
so much,
very,
sir.
very,
Always a pleasure to be here.
the pleasure is mine. Tonight, we will be thanking our military for a gallant work done. And then, of course, everyone that was part of the Orire episode, thank Mr. President for releasing both the funds and then for giving leadership that ensured that our children that were in captivity were released in Oyo State. Something to thank God for. However, much more requires to be done. So in tonight's episode, we shall be extraying what were the things that went wrong, and then what are the things that went right to be able to recover those children. I'm sure the social media has been a buzz of all the activities and the appreciation for the things that has happened in Nigeria in the past 4 or 5 days after the release. The children were taken for medicals, and then as usual, there was the photo shoot with the government. And then, of course, there are a lot of accusations and counter-accusations. The Oyo State government says it's taking Nigerian government to United Nations Court, etc. So much has happened in the space. However, for the children and their parents, their husbands, and we thank God. And that is the key thing, thanking God for once. This is, of course, we lost 2 people in the court, 2 of the people. We pray that the families, while these ones are rejoicing, the families of those whom we lost, God will give them grace to bear the loss. Brother Wisdom, how do you want to start this night's conversation around the release? We understood that some some bandits, kidnappers were captured. We understood that some were neutralized. We are looking at how it all ended. So, what's your take on this, Brother Wisdom?
Thank you very much, sir. I think first of all, we can say thank you to the Nigerian government for doing what they are supposed to do. Well, since we're now in the era of thanking people for doing what it's obligated of them to do in the first place, well, we thank them for also taking their time to ensure that they strategize very well to make sure that the mission was flawless and all of that. But I'm more interested in the bandits that were captured. I would like to see we would like to know what happens to them at the end of the day. Are we going to integrate them back into the society as repented bandits? Are we going to have a scenario, a program to integrate them back into the society? Because history has taught us that we, as a nation, we are fond of rehabilitating people that have broken the rule of law. So would that be the same case, or would this serve as a deterrent? Are we going to use these bandits to serve as a deterrent to anybody that wants to venture into this crime? Would there be what kind of trial process will go on? Will it be a public hearing? Would there be I think the aftermath of the event is just as important as the event itself, because how the government chooses to respond, or how they choose to act, or how they choose not to act, would sort of set the precedence for us going forward. So how do we see this in? If you're asking me, are you asking me, sir?
Yes, I
If
am
you're
asking
asking
you.
me, if you're asking me, I believe that I'm of the opinion that banditry. Oh, they brought back the light. Banditry or banditry related offenses should be given the capital punishment, right? We shouldn't have any room for negotiation. In short, there should be a war declared on banditry. I think that's the better we should look at it, and not trying to integrate. Oh, we need to integrate them. They are our brother. There was an interview I saw that someone said. I don't know who said it. One of the supposedly the head of the either the military or something like that said something that they are our brothers and they are our sisters and they are still like, I don't understand when a certain group of people like I'm really interested to see how the government progresses with
Okay.
this
All right.
conversation.
Thank you for your opening statement. Brother Louis, what's your opening
Yes,
statement
sir.
on this conversation? Finally, we have our children back. What are we going to do about it? Should the bandits be thanked for releasing them after taking Nigerians through 52 days of strenuous pressure? So, what's your take on it?
It's Thank you so very much, sir. And it's very good for us to also have the conversation. It's quite unfortunate that these are some of the things we're talking about when countries like Finland or like China or even Kazakhstan here are talking about school models that are built, in partnership with the children so that they can establish how to learn, how they like to learn, and match that with what they need to learn. We are talking about 52 days of captivity of scores of children and beheading and killings and all those things. So I think wisdom really, per an opening statement, hits the nail on the head. Um, for me, it's it's a sign of the times. I'm really struggling to not say something that is not airworthy, but I really do hope that going forward, we're able to reduce some of these things, reduce them from even happening in the first place. I was particularly happy about will I say, the attention that was drawn to it. I was so happy that it was not allowed to be forgotten. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I don't know if the reason behind the kidnappings and all of that, I don't know if it's intentional. I don't know if it's sponsored. And to be honest, I don't really want to get into it. However, I am happy that everybody came together to say it is important that things like this should not be happening, and what can we do to ensure that if for whatever reason the people that are supposed to act are not acting, then what can we ourselves do? I saw videos of people going to the bush with drones. I saw different things, online. And while I mean social media is a place where anybody can put what they like and put a story to it, I was happy that there was attention, towards it. There were people that said in Canada, once a child is missing, there's a red alert or an amber alert or something, whereas everybody in the vicinity gets, notified. These are conversations that may not have come up if we didn't collectively take it seriously. So, for me, in addition to what Wisdom opened with, it's a good thing that we are at least aware that this thing that is happening is abnormal.
Okay, thank you for that. Now, my take here is two things that we must review after this experience. One, lesson learned, and then precautions that must be taken. On this channel, we have been looking at precautions by the community, by the SBMC. What body of knowledge do you think the bandits will bring to this conversation now that we were told that some were indeed captured? Do you think hearing them will add to the body of knowledge, will add to our intelligence community. And because all these questions, why did they do it? How did they do it? Who sent them? Where did they come from? The people that did the job definitely knows who sent them. They know why they did it, and they definitely know how they did it. So, interrogating them openly will definitely enhance the body of information we have about fighting terrorism and insurgency and fighting school kidnappings in Nigeria. Brian Wilson, what's your take on that?
So interrogating them openly might not be the best, but by all means, let us interrogate them, right? Let's extract as much information as we can, because if they are state elements, or if they are state actors that were indeed a part of this, interrogating them openly would give them a chance to abscond or put up a defense. So the security agencies, I would believe that they are more than capable to carry out their own investigation. What I'm more concerned about is that the investigation should lead somewhere, right? Because it's easy for them to say, "Oh, we've arrested a few of the bandits. We have them under custody. We are conducting an investigation." It is not the first time we've heard we are conducting an investigation. There are a lot of other cases that we've heard, "Oh, we're conducting an investigation," and we don't see where it ends. Surprisingly, I recently learned that one of the suicide bombers that were arrested, one of them that failed, but during I think the Yanya bombing or so, was recently sentenced, right? Now, in the eyes of the average Nigerian, that case has been forgotten, right? So I would encourage the government to be able to throw, right? Because I didn't even know that the case was still in court. And this is where the media has failed the news headlines, the news cycle, what will get us views, than actually getting the truth out there. I would assume that the primary cases or certain the time that Nigerians were terrified of going out or hanging out because of the fear of suicide bombers and whatnot. And here we are, the Yanya court giving judgment, and nobody knew about it. A few people did not, like a few people knew about it, but I would assume that it should take a national stage towards things like this, because justice is being served, even though that the people that have lost their lives would not get it back, but a semblance of justice is being served. So in addition to this is they should do their investigation, but the investigation should yield somewhere, and the people should be carried along. We should know that, oh, as per the investigation that was carried out, it led to several arrests. It led to unlocking the criminal networks that we have that are operating in banditry and whatnot. We've been able to uncover certain businesses that were used to launder certain funds from this business. The EFCC should focus on the money, follow the money. They will always tell you follow the money, because nobody throws away money. The money goes somewhere. The money leaves from one point of sale to another. So I would assume that they would focus more on getting results out of their investigation.
Thank you very much. Brother Louis, what's your take on this? Investigation openly, investigation discreetly. What's your take?
I mean, I would have to respectfully differ with Mr. Wisdom's submission. I do believe that for some of these things, setting a precedence, depending on the seriousness, which this is of utmost seriousness, you
Oh,
need to
okay. What I
set
said.
such a drastic precedence that it makes no sense for anybody even thinking about it to attempt it. Um, if there are some high level players involved, this is unfortunate for them. You
I'm moving.
can't substitute the lives of the future of tomorrow
Okay.
um, for any other state actors allegedly involved or otherwise. So I personally think that it's important we should have as public, a resolution as possible. If that also includes the hearing, I'm all for it. We'll stream it like the way we watch World Cup, and we can look at it and say this person is not speaking the truth because their eyes are twitching, and everybody can have a public opinion because it is a public case. And if we're able to do that, that's fantastic. Do we have the ability to? Yes, I do think we do. In fact, there's not a lot that the Nigerian state does not have an ability to do. But when we talk about the political will to execute it, that's where the problem may come in. Because of interest, alleged interest that may exist. So, in my own opinion, let's make it public. Let everybody chip in. Let's all see what's going on. Let's understand it. Who are these guys? Who are the actors that are standing behind them? If there are no actors behind them, what are their individual motivations? And let's just nip it in the bud. In fact, nipping it in the bud is almost a 10-year-old statement now. So let's do something publicly about it. Is my own personal opinion on that, sir.
How about now? Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
Yes, we can hear
Okay.
you, sir.
So I remember the coup of Oladipo Dia. The opening meeting was public, and that was where the conversation, where is Bamiyi? You might know, I don't know whether you are old enough to remember that statement. When Dia came up, and then he asked the judge, where is Bamiyi? And then it was like Bamiyi, but meanwhile Bamiyi was chief of army staff. Those of us that were a little bit old will remember that episode, because there was a coup plot against a phantom coup against what's it called, Abacha. It was supposed to be a phantom coup, so they said whether it was right. But Dia was brought in with a lot of other persons, and right on the television, he asked a question that made the coup proceedings to end there. He asked the question, where is Bamiyi? Because Bamiyi, Lieutenant General Bamiyi, was part of the coup, but somewhere his name was missing. And the old Nigerian people had the question, where is Bamiyi? Do you think a question like where is Bamiyi will come up again in Nigeria? And then the government will have to explain what? Wisdom, do you want to change your mind, or you still believe because of state security and safe, and there's the statecraft, the matter should be handled discreetly? Let me hear you, sir.
So I think Louis got it mixed up. Public trial, yes. Private investigation, yes. What I'm saying is their investigation should not be public because of certain factors. So to be able to apprehend the other state elements or actors, you need a discrete investigation. But by all means, a public execution, I do not mind, right? Same thing that happened with Oladipo Dia was it was at the point of hearing with the judge. So that means they were done with their investigation and they were about to prosecute them. And he asked a very interesting question. The person that sent us or the person that was part of it, where is he? He is not here, right? So it would be nice to see, yes, a trial of this suspects or perpetrators publicly aired, right? But the investigation that would lead to that, I would assume or I would expect the security agencies to be able to thoroughly carry out their investigations without any form of interference from any arm of the government. Because there was something that was said, I think it was also Abacha, correct me if I'm wrong, that if insecurity goes past 24 hours, there is government involvement in it. And this went beyond 24 hours. This went 54 days, if I'm not mistaken. Right. So that goes to show that there are certain level of state actors inside. And any state actors that will use the well-being of children as a political ploy to insert pressure to further a negotiation, that person deserves to be publicly executed. without any doubt in my mind. So yes, private investigation that would be unhindered or uncumbered, yes, but a public trial to show Nigerians the proceeds or the end of those investigation, absolutely.
Okay, that's awesome. So there must be a thorough investigation so that no stone is left unturned. Because the good
Anton,
news
yes.
here is that this is the first time I can say where kidnappers were released and there is the government admitted that there were arrests. And so definitely it is going to be interesting to see how it all pans out. No stone must be left unturned. For 54 days, these guys took the whole, I mean, they battered the psyche of Nigerians. And therefore, we need to bring a closure to this conversation. Brother Louis, what do you think? Do you think this experience will bring healing? Do you think the lesson learned will be useful? I just need to hear what. I'm happy with the number of people that brought drones into the picture. I'm happy with the social media conversation. I'm happy with the involvement of all and sundry. Everybody turned security apparatus in Nigeria for the first time. What other lessons do you think Nigerians will learn from this experience, Brother Louis?
Absolutely. And I mean, it's a good one. I'm happy that everybody was more or less involved. And the truth of the matter is that when some of these things happen and we see the level of seriousness that even the citizens are willing to put in, it's a little, it's a little, it makes somebody to be a little cheerful, So 100%, it's good that we were able to, to come together to create the awareness that was required. As you said, sir, I would always be somebody that likes to stand for technology. So I'm happy that everybody is having those conversations around technology now. Before it was like a concept, So, but now and again, I think the Nigerian state has the ability, the wherewithal, the funding, the intelligence, to do this, and I think they do. I just, from a very personal, narrow-minded scope, that it's a political will issue, and I may be wrong, and I'm happy to be. Some of the lessons that I personally learned were around, when this started, a lot of people may have thought that, this is a quote unquote northern thing. When it started over a decade ago, people would have expected kidnappings to happen in Maiduguri, in Zamfara. They may not have expected it to happen down closer to the south. But now it's here. So anybody that would have thought that it's a northern thing has, first of all, been practically, disproved. Anything that happens in one part of Nigeria affects everybody in Nigeria, because Nigeria is a country, you can't dodge it. So for anybody that might have been having that mindset that, not my side, or not my side, as you can see, it's your side, because this has happened in a place that is so far distant from where you thought, was the benchmark for it happening. So it's good that now, as it happened there, we can see what happened. We can see the outrage, quote and unquote. So we need to know that when these things happen, it's not by letting it fester for decades. We need to nip it in the bud, as early as possible. I
Okay.
also understand. Yes, sir. Go ahead,
All
sir.
right. Thank you. I will still come back to Amos. We have a contribution that the next voice is from the studio. We have contribution from those people join us online. Studio, please.
Okay, from Ife Olatunji David. I also align with public trials. It might help to build more faith in the public institutions. They should have nothing to hide. Nigerians must feel safe in our country.
Okay. Thank you, Ife. She said Nigeria must feel safe in our country. So we're happy to be joined by, this conversation is going online and it's all over the space. People are joining and they are reacting. So we expect to get more reactions from our audience there. One good thing like I said, I mean, Brad before I paused him to hear that conversation, is that either two, um, there were kidnappings in both in the north, in the south, in the east, and in the west. I mean, we still remember the one that happened in Ikiti. We still remember the one that happened in Ondo State. There has been kidnappings everywhere. But one good thing about this particular was that the Nigerian people, I mean, everybody rose up to fight this one with all our might. And for that, we are grateful to Nigerians. And we hope that this will be the standard, that we will all fight evil, whether it is pro your religion, pro your tribe, pro your community. And one of the things that the military that we had was that the military had access to the family members of these kidnappers. Brother Wisdom, are you aware of that?
No, sir, I'm not.
Oh,
Access in what sense?
we were told that when it happened, because you see, the irony of Nigerian crime is that we know all the criminals, according to the governor of Zamfara. We know their father, we know their mother, and they are all with us here. So we heard from the social media that one of the strategies that was deployed was that knowing the families of those who are kidnapped, they went to their communities. They mentioned the community. I won't want to mention it on air now. They went to their community and kidnapped their own family too and told them, you have our children, we have your father. You kill our father, we kill your children. I mean, you kill our children, we kill your father. And so that changed the narrative. And then that was when they began to ask for something different. This system, this strategy was deployed once in Sokoto, and then it worked again and again. So we know these criminals. That's the irony of it all. Nigerians know the Zamfara state governor said, we know them, we know their father, we know their mother, we know where they all come from. And yet, they still intimidate, they still deal with us, they still make us little. So, what do you think about this? Because we know the criminals. Everybody knows the criminals. Right from the days of Anini, I mean, we all know who the criminals are. We know their fathers. We know their villages. How it is impossible to catch them is what bothers me. What do you have to say to this?
And so, first off, the siblings or parents of criminals are usually referred to as soft targets. And I don't know how I feel about using soft targets to get the perpetrators, but there is another way to look at it. If it has been established that we know the soft targets of the hard targets, so we know their family members, we know where they are. That means we have a robust database of our criminals and our criminal networks in the nation. Then why do we wait for them to act if we've established that these people are criminals and they are menace to societies? I would assume that the state has the instrument and the implementation and the infrastructure rather to be able to trace communications between them and these soft targets and pick them up before crimes are committed. I remember saying something that we are more reactive than proactive. I think our security agencies should practice more proactiveness than we are reacting to the situation, because at the point where
Okay, if I
yes,
can just add a new layer to that conversation.
yes sir.
Life builders where I work, we work with the victims of Boko Haram. And
Okay.
unfortunately, most of the victims of Boko Haram that are in our camps happen to be friends with the insurgents. When they have been brutalized and they come run to Abuja to any of the camps, they will usually say those boys were small boys in the neighborhood. We know them. But the problem is when they turn to hooligans, when they become radicalized, they leave the community and start living in camps. So whereas we know where they originated from, but they are no longer living within the community. They have moved to the bushes and to the camps. But we know, so once in a while, when there is a crisis or when there is an event, somebody will usually say, we know the people. I can recognize one of them. It's so and so who ran away from the house and now he had gone to join the insurgents or he has gone. So usually in Nigeria's, in the criminal elements of Nigeria, you find out that once a person becomes radicalized, he leaves the community. He begins to move with those guys. And it becomes difficult. And like you separated soft target from hard target, the hard target don't live within the community. They live in the camps. And that's why it is required and it's necessary to have civilian JTF to fight insurgents in the northeast. Because up there, the civilian JTF, they know where they know, and that's why also you work with local intelligence, because the locals, the hunters in the community, they know the road to the camp because they go in the bush in the night and they know them. They know them. And that's why we talk about political will and the will of the security. These insurgents and kidnappers are not spirits. They are born by somebody. And when your son is missing and you don't ask him or you don't ask his friends, where did my son, where did he go? So that you can trace him. And some of them come to the community and they boast about all these things they do. Even here in Abuja, they come there and then we see them. So soft target, hard target, I don't know what to say. Sorry to interrupt your thoughts. Bro, Wisdom, you want to continue and finish before we bring in Louis to speak to this soft target, hard target thing?
So I think the major lapse in our security apparatus is intelligence gathering, right? And if we claim to know that these insurgents or these bandits, they have a camp, it means that they also have supplies. Somebody is supplying them with food.
Oh, yes.
Somebody is supplying them with internet. Things are getting to them, and I would assume that the security agencies would try to follow, like I said, follow the money, right? If, for example, in a certain area that let's say usually don't see enough financial traffic, all of a sudden start seeing if there are a lot of transactions in those areas. These are things that the uh, EFCC and the what's this other agency that monitors people's transaction over 100 million.
NFIU.
NFIU, yes, the NFIU should be able to deploy their apparatus into such matters. There are areas that this area. There was a movie I watched one time, and the FBI financial unit, they were going through transaction and they discovered that there was this small town, and the town suddenly had massive transactions going on. The agent booked a plane, went to the town, and he saw that there was just one bank, and all the other businesses that were doing a lot of transactions were literally empty. That was how he discovered that it was just one pilot that was using those businesses to launder money for the Colombian drug cartel, right? So we see all of these things and we camouflage it as, it's, I don't even know want to go to that dimension, but we say, it's grace, or is this, or is that. A lot of people can't explain their source of wealth. A lot of people can't explain where the money is coming from, and these are questions we need to start asking, because if we start doing the right things and following the money, how it comes, where it goes into, a lot of these crimes can be stopped before they actually happen. And I think that the major problem we have in our intelligence infrastructure is not having a robust database, right? Because there are certain things that you should be able to check by metrics. So, for example, in civilized or organized countries where systems work, we already know that a doctor earns this amount of money annually. By the time you're filing your taxes or whatnot and there's extra revenue, you want to explain where it's coming from. But we don't have that system anywhere. People drive cars they can't afford. People live in houses they can't even afford. But yet, somehow, somewhere, we overlook it and say, oh, it's one thing. But if by the time we start following all of these things squarely, we would be able to stop majority of the crimes that we currently have going on. And I think that the security agencies to focus more on intelligence gathering, and not it doesn't a lot of the crimes you don't need to carry gun to stand on the road before you stop crime. You don't need to do all of those things. There are ways to intelligently deduce certain criminal activities, right? But you don't. I think we're more focused on the activity of we're trying to solve crime than solving the crime itself. Honestly,
Okay. Thank you.
that's
Thank you, Brother Louis. Did you hear that? That it is more profitable for police to do brain work than to stay by the road and collect money. What do you have to say to that in view of this our recent discovery?
It's quite unfortunate, sir. And I mean, just to also, lend my voice to some of the things that wisdom had already said, for the sake of, they always say you're innocent until you're proven guilty, so information gathering. And I mean, he also said it towards the end of his conversation, how it should be directed towards interception of the happenings of these things, so that we don't fall into the very gray area of profiling to say, well, this guy has left his home, he's this particular religion, and these days he comes back with, some money, therefore he must be X. And then we bundle him and put into the car, like how SARS was doing people around Nigeria until they were stopped. But I still think that everything boils down to political. There's is security. If it was like food, or if it was food or music, you can rest assured that when somebody creates a model to profit from it, the problem will cease to exist. The problem, once somebody can see that if I can produce it for 20 naira and sell it for 30 naira, the problem will cease to exist. But the problem is, the issue now is that it's security. It's not it's something that you need the government to be actively part of, which is why it is profitable to pay tax, because the government should be taking care of that. If the government does not have political will to do it, there's only so much that the other individual private security companies, or even we as a community, can do. We'll do something, it will work. But we need that government participation, that political will to look in the right direction. If you are talking about stuff like the national databases, how they need to be up to date, so that we can be less responsive and more, so that we can be less people, like we can be less on the responding side and more on the preempting and nipping it in the bud before it even happens. It's good, but neither of us on the call has access to the national database. We cannot hack their data. The normal Nigerian doesn't have access to that. So it will still lie in the few people that have that need to have that political will to be able to say, I want my country to be better. And as a result, I hereby put my feet down as the ex person who leads the security activities in this country. There shall be no more kidnapping, because we will do XYZ things that have already, by the way, been done. We already have policy. We have example in other countries. There are other countries that have done much worse and are now better. It's just that now let's do it. It's just that thing that is missing. So I think it's there's really not much else on that front that we can do. And I mean, as it comes down to our children in the school, it's quite unfortunate that this is happening. But I mean, there are some very interesting lessons for us to learn. I also learned that it wasn't just one school. I don't know how correct that is. There was a cluster of schools. So this
Yes,
this could mean
it was
that
from four schools.
it was a cluster of schools. So this could mean that when you're thinking of security, from the SBMC angle, you may not just be thinking about one school, you may be thinking about all the schools in this area. How, if so that if something is happening one, even before anything happens, the way you're thinking about security is in clusters rather than in schools. So that if one school is secure, then you now neglect the other, so that you're not working in silos, which I think is one of the main issues that we have in Nigerian security as at date. So a lot of lessons to be learned, a lot of lessons to be learned.
Okay, thank you. I want us to start looking at itemizing the lessons. However, while we start doing that, I want maybe I should ask Louis to speak to it, because you introduced another level of intelligence gathering, the type that SAS normally does. So I don't know whether the SAS method of intelligence gathering, how far it will take us in Nigeria. Because when you say gather intelligence, then you just see some people, they will stop you on the road, say, bring out your phone, and they will look at your phone, and then they will say they have catch you intelligence gathering. Do you call that intelligence gathering, for Christ's sake? Brother Louis?
I mean, absolutely not. I mean, it's ridiculous what
So,
we in the name of concepts in the country.
Brother Wisdom,
It's
intelligence
ridiculous.
gathering. They see you with dreadlocks, they catch you. You said they should not carry gun. They just gather intelligence that every dreadlocks is a 419, and they catch every youth on the ground and say they are wearing, they are
That's
gathering
sadly,
intelligence.
sadly, that's just negative profiling, and they tend to use it to not to an end, or to their own end rather. So it leads to extortion and whatnot. The real level of intelligence gathering is, it takes a whole lot. Like, just me alone, like, okay, you want to, it's just like you want to get to know somebody. You would watch there are criminal patterns that exist. There are patterns to crime. There are
Like
area.
dreadlocks.
No, we have
Because
we have
because the people that catch dreadlocks said that 419 people always, because in Nigeria we stigmatize, we categorize, and then we just look at somebody and discern that that person is a criminal and we catch him. So when you are talking about patterns, we need to be able to know what exactly we mean by patterns, so that we don't create unnecessary. You see, because like there was a time in Lagos, once you drive a Lexus RX 350, you are 419. They said that's the car that 419 drives. And so once you drive that car, you are a suspect. Pattern.
yeah
So what
yeah.
pattern
So,
do you look at?
well, so for one, if we're saying that these bandits and criminals are being radicalized in camps, right? That's a good point to start from, right? Where this is why local intelligence is also important, which means that parents would have to come forward to say, oh, my child has been missing for XYZ amount of days. This is something that I feel we should look into, even down to, and this is not a problem that is sort of unique to just Nigerian, right? Because even down in the US, we had US citizens being radicalized for terrorism. So the terrorists saw that, oh, it was difficult for them to gain access into the country. But how cool will it be for me to radicalize a citizen that already has a passport and would pass customs and go and deliver all of these issues? The US was able to find out that, oh, their children were being recruited via chats, via chat rooms and whatnot. That's the same way it's happening here. People are being recruited via certain gatherings, either social or religious gatherings, and they are being brainwashed to carry out these crimes, right? So I would say that the first level to intelligence gathering is for the security agencies to infiltrate these syndications, like try to infiltrate them, try to get as much knowledge as it is to the recruitment process, right? Rather than mounting roadblocks, we should invest more in covert operations where they have cells embedded in cells, where we have the DSS officials going undercover for months with these people, learning what they know. That's where intelligence gathering comes in. That's where the NIA or whatever should be channeling their resources. We don't need more guns. We don't need more boots on the road. We're not in martial law. We're not in this thing. We're in a time where sensitive information should be gotten from this way, because now the criminal elements are now building networks around how to move their money, how to recruit. It has gone beyond just mounting roadblocks and oh, this boy looks like his eye is red, and we should stop him and arrest him and harass him and all of that. These are where they need to be focusing um their resources and going forward. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Brother Louis. The lesson learned. Do you think psychologists and social workers should visit Orire community and then test our theory that, I mean, we heard that there's a woman that is selling akara and observed that there was increase in trade around that place. And then maybe we should send psychologists, let them test the hypothesis of the characters of bandits, and so that we can build an intelligent protocol on how these things happen. And then it can be a lesson learned that we can use in other climes. What is your take on this?
Definitely, thank you so much, sir. Definitely, the psychologists should go. In fact, they should go with the therapists first of all, so that those children that have been, and I heard that that's what's happening. So I heard that
Yes.
there's some therapy sessions going on. So definitely, but not just for the children, also for the Akara women, also for the parents, and so we should definitely provide that psychosocial support to get them back on their feet. And as a matter of existence, we can't. It's a little painful that the data that we operate in this country is the way it is. It's a little painful. It's painful to say the least. We should be able to. I'm not, before they will say I'm always calling out agencies. National Bureau of Statistics, they are doing a very good job. They are trying their best and they are churning out these figures. It's not easy, to do needs assessment or to do any of all these things across the country. But as a matter of fact and as a matter of consistency, we are supposed to be able, we don't even know how many were in the country as it stands out now. So definitely in pockets where these things have happened, we can go and study to see what are the things that changed. Did we see more cars driving after 6 p.m.? Did we see an increased number of motorbikes in the area as opposed to tricycles, compared with the previous month? We can do those things, but the only problem that I have is that it is now in retrospect where it has happened, and some people have been beheaded and some people have been scarred for life, and etc. so forth. That's the only problem I have. So 100% we should send them in, but we need that level of intelligence gathering as it relates to data for us to even be able to know. Like, for example, they said, or what I read online was that that particular community, they don't ask, they are more or less cut away, from the existence of all the other communities. So it's like a secluded community existing by itself with hiked prices, etc. so forth. So even going there itself tells us something. Maybe not a lot of people might have known that that place existed before now. So it will be good for us to go there to do our studies, to come up with these are the things that usually happen so that we can establish those likely patterns. Like Wisdom said, they are still likely patterns. They must, before you can use it to arrest somebody, you must first of all investigate and prove, what is required by law to prove. We must definitely do that. But even for the case of prevention, we should be able to monitor from wherever we are to say, normally, border entry in from this particular side of Nigeria, from that particular side of Nigeria, usually has a traffic of 2,000 people a day. Why is today's own 15,000? And then we can then start to generate what the problems can be. Okay, we are organizing FIFA World Cup, so it's normal. Or there's no FIFA World Cup, so what is going on? We go a little bit further. Where is the traffic going to? It's not going to Lagos, which is the most populous state. It's rather going to Oyo. And not only is it not going to Oyo, it's not going to the main placing, it's not going to Ibadan, it's going to Orire. Then we can then be able to say, okay, this might be a risk area, and then we monitor it, send police people there to make sure nothing even happens in the first place. So it would be really nice to get our act together in terms of data and all these other things that you mentioned, sir.
So, Brother Wisdom, what's your thought
Yes, sir.
on this conversation?
Well, I think we need to just start telling ourselves the truth. While Mr. Louis was talking, I
Go ahead
realized
and tell
something
the
that the
truth.
reason
Tell the truth.
that the reason why a lot of these things cannot work, it's because of the political element. The reason why we can't have accurate data from the Bureau of Statistics is because uh, everybody is trying to inflate their data to ensure that whatever security votes that they would get would be commensurate to what their budget for the year is, or what they've envisioned in going into office. Because we should be able to know when there's an influx of people into a certain area. But because we've already inflated the figures, so we don't even have a proper census to know what our total number is. The day we decide to do a census, some people will add their livestock into it somewhere. So there are a lot of things, we need to start looking at the whole picture of how do we want to make Nigeria a better place. And it starts from telling ourselves these hard truths, right? We don't have the data that exists is falsified. All the data that currently exist, to a large extent, they are all falsified. They are either falsified to fit a certain narrative, or they are falsified to suit another set of narrative. So we can never really get the true picture of things except we start telling ourselves the truth. We start being honest to ourselves from the get-go, and that's where um, having a common goal as a nation comes into place, because we don't have a nation building goal. We have a self-sufficient goal. Let me be self-sufficient for myself. So whatever is happening outside doesn't concern me, as long as in my house there's light, there's solar, there's this. I could care less about what's happening in the next
Uh,
compound, right?
oh,
Yes, sir.
okay. What is the next week? Actually, what I should have said is that next week we are going to put another layer into our conversation, which is the Nigeria of my dream. Because now Brother Wisdom is introducing another layer, a national goal or a national vision, a national identity, a common aspiration that all Nigerians work towards. And I believe that it's one of the responsibility of Vox Edu to at least look at what the national thinking is on education. Is the education desire of Kano, is it the same as the desire of Port Harcourt? The educational desires of Enugu, is it the same thing as of Sokoto? So we shall be looking at that in terms of education on this channel, starting from next week by the grace of God. Not this time, maybe on Wednesday or something. We'll look at that. However, Brother Louis, what are the lessons? I mean, we have passed an exam. Nigeria indeed has passed an exam in this case that our children were kidnapped. That was the exam. Somehow we lost 2, we were able to recover 42. I think very sad, because every soul matters to Nigeria. But if you place it side by side, the Chibok experience, we can say that indeed something positive has happened in Nigeria. We have gone through a trauma and we have come out at the other end, maybe not so victorious, because losing 2 souls is not so nice. But at least for the 42 that we have left, we can thank God for it. The lessons that we have learned, because we know that these evil men, they are still lurking around the corner. This might not be the last time we will hear of their nefarious activities. What are the lessons that we can always replay, Brother Louis?
Thank you so very much, sir. And just to 100% agree with you on that. It's good that we're able to get them, out, and We're also looking to make sure that these kinds of things don't repeat themselves. And we're also looking for the people that are the others that are currently. I know there's a Borno incident that also happened. I also heard that bandits invaded the place in Dekina and Kogi. So we celebrate the successes that have happened, and then in the same vein, we're keeping an eye on the successes that are going to happen in some of these other places. For me, 5 key lessons, very, very simple, not simple, but some lessons that I personally learned. I said one at the beginning of the discussion that for anybody who still thinks that insecurity is a regional problem, that person is joking. You are joking. you know you are just joking. So insecurity is a national problem, whether it is happening in only 2 square meters of a place in Nigeria. Is the whole everybody's issue. So we should all be ready to come out, speak against it, proffer solutions, etc., so forth. Another lesson that I personally learned was that some of the insurgents were dressed in police uniform. So how do you process this? Is I don't know. So do we now not trust? They were dressed in military uniform. So one now has to be careful, in terms of who they allow to do what guidance can then be proffered to say this person is not. And some of the police themselves, they will not wear their uniform. They will wear t-shirts and slippers. So these are some of the issues. Even though somebody may look safe, they may not be safe. So that you just don't allow them to enter into your space, especially if it's a school where there are children. We must find a way to verify that these are the actual people protecting us. And then also one of the third lessons is we might start needing to look at protection from a cluster angle rather than from a single school angle. So if, for instance, the SBMC of a school that has other schools around, those SBMCs can join their collective forces to now say, you know what, we have this our community. We need to see how we can, prevent anything from happening. And in the line of prevention, perhaps my last lesson will be there needs to be some kind of emergency response per the terrain. And this is where the community people come in. So we've tried all our best, but unfortunately, this has happened. What are the next steps? Are we calling the police to triangulate the particular area around where this has happened? And must this happen in 15 minutes? It must be a step that everybody knows. So if the principal is not part of the people that have been taken, the principal needs to do it. Whereas the principal is part, this is the next person, the gate man. Whereas the gate man is part, the closest shop owner. So that kind of thing in the community. I'm saying it, business analyst, is easy to hear. I know it's not that straightforward, but we need to start thinking of how we can put down these processes so that when these things happen, we're not just reacting, but we have a plan of action already and we're just following through with it. And lastly, I think that the political will end of the transaction is quite weak. I think we need to up the political will so that the people in power can expend their energies on keeping our children safe and let our children focus on other things. Now, Claude has released several new versions and they are taking down some. There's ChatGPT. There's people traveling to the moon and back. There are people exploring habitable planets outside our solar system. There's so much mentally stimulating things to do. We can't be talking about our children safe in school and then other people's children are thinking about how to conquer and explore the world. It makes absolutely no sense to me. So let's have that political will available, for us to have our children safe and for us to be able to progress. So those are some of the lessons that I learned from this.
Thank you, Brother Louis. My concern is, like I've always said, when we talk about political will, whose responsibility is it to exercise this political will? Is it Mr. President? Is it the Inspector General of Police? Is it the Commissioner of Police? Is it the Governor of the state? Is it the DPO in the state? Is it the SBMC? Is it the principal or the student? You see, because this stream contains several actors and we are demanding for political will. Brother Wisdom, in addition to what lesson learned, along this stream, how will you classify political will to fighting crime?
So, I think political will has to do with every elected politician. You should have the political will because the whole essence of being elected as you're coming in is you're coming to serve. You're coming to serve. You're coming to it's public service, right? Once you are towing the line of public service, either as a civil servant or as a publicly elected um, office holder or whatever, as long as you are in the public service, you should have the political will to move the nation forward. You should have the political will to make whatever sector you find yourself a little bit better than the way you left it. It is sad that we don't have that political will to make Nigeria better. Like I come in here, we've seen this thing happen in different industries. There was a time when one woman stood and said, "No, I have the political will to ensure that we would not have fake drugs in this nation." And that woman was none other than Dr. Dora. She came in and she said, "No, this I've been given this mandate and I have to ensure." At that time, Nigerians didn't even know that we were consuming fake drugs. We didn't know, and it was serious war on this particular thing. And she made her mark and she had the political will. So there are Nigerians that have the political will to do this thing. And she was appointed, she wasn't elected. So we have Nigerians that still know the right things to do, right? So it's just a matter of finding them. And then the people need to be able to speak up too, because a lot of the times we don't even know the things that we are entitled to as a nation, right? We don't even know that, oh, as a tax-paying citizen of this nation called Nigeria, I am entitled to walk into the police station and make a complaint, and that complaint needs to be addressed with immediate alacrity. Like we don't even know that we have certain rights. We see certain things being done. For example, today I walk into the police station and I want to write a petition. If I don't drop 50, 100, 150K for that paper to be, they will tell me it won't be signed. And they are not joking, it's not going to be signed. It is so sad that you go to I recently had to go to SARS over the weekend to help a friend that was detained, and they did not have foolscap. I had to go and buy foolscap to get to whatever it is. It is crazy that we are here at this point in time in this nation. It's sad. It's really, really sad.
So,
It is sad.
so your final thought, Brother Louis.
I mean, absolutely, sir. We thank God for the people that are back from captivity. We hope that the people that are still in captivity will also be brought back
Amen.
whole. Amen. And to be fair and to be honest, I'm really looking forward to the conversations around the Nigeria of our dream. I know that there are some very interesting things going on in the back end at Vox Edu's. I will not be shocked to see a Vox Populi, production very soon. So I'm really excited for that conversation. I feel that I've always felt that that should be the job of National Orientation Agency. But these are some of the issues. I also do feel that political will is top down. If the president of Nigeria says this is what I want and he puts his feet down, I think everybody else will fall in line because he has the veto power. So every elected person should have the political will. Yeah, but if we were to hold one person accountable, it will have to be the number one citizen, so that he himself can have that lack of tolerance, for some of these things. But sir, in conclusion, we hope that we are able to, with platforms like Vox Edu, speak some of these things into the space so that somebody in charge can hear it, maybe can get touched, maybe can make a different decision, can get more inclined to assist and to do their jobs that they've been elected to do or appointed to do. And really just really looking forward to those new conversations on the Nigeria of our dreams, as we also hope that we can do what it is that is in our power as individuals to get our children back from captivity, and those that are not in captivity, keep them safe from these criminal elements and miscreants running up and down the place.
Thank you, Brother Louis. Before I give the mic, I yield the mic to Wisdom. One lesson that I learned from this experience was the overwhelming cooperation of Nigerians, number one. And then number two, the fact that there was no time lag. Immediately those children were taken from their respective schools. Nigerians didn't, there was no time lag. There was no time lag. The security report said they were cordoning off of major roads that should have taken them out of the place, etc., which are security things. But one good thing is that Nigerians were at it. The governor of Oyo State was at it. The president was at it. The police, the military, even Vox Edu was at it. So our Vox Edu has political will to bring them out. And so maybe everybody's political will work. Brother Wisdom, final thought. What is this saga that God is helping Nigeria to close on the Oriri experience? What is your final thought on it? And what lessons can we walk away with? Thank you, Brother Wisdom.
Final thoughts. Well, we thank God for the successful rescue of the children that were held in captivity. But I would say that we have a long way to go. I think it was sometime last week I shared a video with Mr. Louis. There were two videos concurrently. One was a tactical takedown by a military, no, I think a police unit, a SWAT unit and it wasn't in America, it wasn't in Britain, it was a developing country, but it felt like an action movie sequence. Like, it was so unreal. I wish I could find it. I will send it to you so that you can see it. And shortly after that video, I saw another video of the Nigerian military doing a drill. And all I could say was we have a long way to go. At this age and time where technology is supposed to be our friend, where we're supposed to be advancing in technology, it feels like we are regressing, and we are not taking advantage of the resources that are around us.
So the instructor did not have political will.
It's not about political will now. They are not enlightened enough. So it feels like we are looking at we on the outside, we have a very big expectation of what a law enforcement officer should look like, should act like, should do, and them on the inside are just okay. I don't know, being below the bar. In short, way below the bar. They are just okay.
Vox Edu is the preferred solution. What do you think is the solution to that particular experience?
The solution is we need more thinking caps at the helm of affairs of these agencies.
That is not a solution. No, that is not measurable. No. It must be smart, measurable. When it happens, because I beg to disagree that the echelon of our security architecture does not have sufficient thinking people. I believe they are. I have some of them as friends.
It's not translating, sir.
Eh?
It's not translating to what is on ground. So maybe they need to leave the chamber of their echelon and come down to what they should disguise and walk into a police station. They should disguise and walk into a. There was something the governor of Rivers State used to do at Mechi back in the day when he was governor. He used to disguise and go to where contractors were working to interact with them.
And go to Orire community. They will kill him before he gets there.
at all. So that there lies the problem. That is not secure because he can't do it. That there
So,
lies the problem.
so that is
If
why the program Nigeria. You see, we have said something here. We need to have a target that both the local government, the state government, and the national government, the three levels of government, should have a unified target that we are all working towards. The military should have a unified target that we are all working through. Because when there is a problem in the command chain and you have the best brain on top, but somewhere along the line, there are some fellows who unfortunately found their way there, but the information must pass through them before it gets down. And so once they distort the information, once they pollute the instruction, once they adulterate the spirit that is coming from the top, there is going to be, because I can assure you that several inspector generals of police in Nigeria, in fact, there was one I watched recently of a commissioner of police in Delta State or Edo State who went to the street and was running after some policemen at the checkpoint. And he was shouting, "This is not what we taught you. This is not what we taught you. This is not what we sent you." And the policemen were running. Now, the question is, where did we get it wrong? Because the commissioner of police had a different intention. The DPO has a different intention. And the guys on the street were just there, running riot. They're on their own until the man stumbled on them. And then there was a recording of, I don't know, it was not a very pleasant video. I didn't feel proud of it being a Nigerian, but it happened.
the truth of the matter is we can sit and say, oh, there are policies that the top has come up with, right? We can say all of those things that yes, they have good intentions, they have this, they have that, but we should ask a question, and that question is the one that should actually tell us if truly we mean business. You recruit a police officer, and the entry level salary is 150,000 naira. How do you expect that person earning 150,000 naira not to involve in extra curriculum activities that will pay his house rent? Let's
You are
tell
moving the
ourselves the truth.
conversation to
No, no.
another to a different strata
Let's tell ourselves the
because
truth.
minimum wage. You recruit a teacher and you pay the teacher 70,000 minimum wage. Do you expect him or her to also misbehave? You recruit a nurse and you are paying the same because the
So it's
salary
the same
structure is
conversation.
across.
It's the same conversation we are having. So you recruit a teacher and you pay the teacher 70,000 naira. That teacher lives in a house that the 70,000 naira cannot afford. The teacher does not eat properly. The teacher's well-being is not taken care of. The teacher does not have HMO. The teacher does not treks to work. There is no public transportation that will get the teacher from his house to school and make the teacher sane. So what level of intelligence is the teacher going to impact on the student? The teacher is already frustrated coming to work, so he's not going to be able to impact anything. So we need to start having these conversations. We can't have poor welfare for public.
Brother Wisdom, Brother Louis, do you agree with me that we should take this conversation to Nigeria of my dream? Maybe we need to
I
we need to go to Nigeria of my dream. Because we are having different dreams here.
I'm really just excited. Like, apart from I'm really just excited for that conversation. I wish we can get somebody from NOA to join us to say, I mean, we are working. This is what
I
we're
thought
doing.
you say you want Mr. President to join because we need to know his dream. NOA has their dream different from the governor. Everybody is dreaming differently because some is saying that 70,000 naira is too small for minimum wage. So he has a different dream. His dream is different from the people that fix minimum wage. Do you get what I'm saying? So if when the chips are down, we need to find out what is the uniform dream. Because what we have here is 150 million. I mean, 200 million Nigerians with 200 million dreams. Everybody running riots. So what do you think?
Honestly, sir, we do need to align. It
So we
really
should
is,
align
Mr.
our dreams.
President. We really do need to align. We need to know what we should look like on a global scale. Our
Good.
dream should be facing the world, not internal.
Okay.
What
So
what
facing
what does
the
when
world,
a
not
Nigerian
internal.
Yes, when a Nigerian walks into a place, they should be able to know he or she is well educated. He's not afraid of his children being kidnapped. He's, those kinds of things. A US person walks in and they have their own biases. For example, now it's more likely to be a mass shooting in the US than in Nigeria. But on the same hand, there is also more likely to be emergency response in the US than Nigeria. So we need to establish what we look at, what we are to be seen as outside. Right now, our brand is horrible. We are associated with 419, we're associated with all sorts of stuff. But I mean, sir, you said 200 million Nigerians with 200 million different dreams. Let's even go to the street and find out some of those dreams. And what do you think is
I
the
think we should
Nigerian
start from
dream?
the street. So,
Absolutely.
our
Absolutely.
viewers, we have to let you go while the studio continues the conversation, and then we'll meet again next week, Thursday, 6 p.m. It has been Dr. Samuel Olatuji David with Wisdom Nicholas and Louis Akpoveso, thanking the government of Nigeria and our military for rescuing our 42 children. Regrettably, we lost 2 souls. And asking them more grease to your elbow because there are still many more people in captivity that needs to be rescued. We should take the lessons learned from this experience. And then, like we had somebody speaking from a viewer, this prosecution should be done publicly. Nigeria needs to know. We need to know what is happening. We need to put a face to these names. We need to be able to identify what is the cancer that is eating Nigeria. Don't cover it up. Let's make it open. So this is Vox Edu from the studio here. Thank you for being part of this conversation, and have a nightful and a restful night. God bless you. See you next week, Thursday.
Thank you.